And I'd like to quote the former president of National Federation Party, who of course Honorable Biman Prasad forgot to mention when he talked about how Graham Davis jumped ship and all of that. And Rotupo Ranindalo says, and I quote, "Like many people around the world during COVID-19, I tried to steer clear of manufactured angst for cheap political points over very important issues. But it was difficult to ignore the angst from the usual quarters in this country about the collection and interpretation of data on ethnicity." And that's precisely what is happening. See, he always gets, when he gets nervous, he laughs. When, Mr. Speaker, sir, the point is, this is manufactured angst.
Order.
I only laugh when I listen to stupidity from the other side. Mr. Speaker, sir, this is manufactured angst. This is simply about getting our records right. Honorable Tikun Duandua obviously has joined the fray of those people who believe in conspiracy theories. He talks about gathering of data, etc. When we had the Fiji Care app, Care Fiji app, we said that we do not know the location of the people. We simply know if they came into contact with people more than 15 minutes within 2 meters. We just have their phone numbers. We went to a great deal of extent in not getting into those private space areas. Many other countries, including Australia and New Zealand, gather a lot more data. Honorable Tambuya, the queen of TikTok, in fact, TikTok has more of her information than any of you would ever give. Mr. Speaker, sir, I urge the honourable members, go to YouTube and watch the Four Corners program recently on TikTok and some of the websites, even things like those of you who use Apple phones. They actually have more information about you. Viber has more information about you than government will ever have. They know your location. Some of them now, the new iPhones, they actually have access to your photos, to your emails, to your text messages. That's part and parcel of buying the iPhone. TikTok does face identification. They have data of over 1 billion people. And this program is actually about how vulnerable our children are, because a lot of our teenagers are into TikTok, of course aided and abetted by people like Honorable Tambuya, who made it really fanciful in Fiji to be on TikTok. That has far more information about us individually than government does, and government ever will. So please, let's talk, let's call a spade a spade. Mr. Speaker, sir, he also talked about, the 360, no jab, no job being a silly thing. Many other countries are now adopting it, actually. They don't allow you to work now if you don't get a jab. USA, America, certain workplaces, they require you now. Otherwise you can't work. France. So please, let's call a spade a spade. Let's not make it out as something peculiar is happening in Fiji. Honorable Salote Rondrondro talked about the sacredness of marriage. Fiji is a country that obviously still holds marriage as a sacred institution. She talked about the cultural linkages. There are many other cultural practices that also has, a sacredness attached to the institution of marriage. That is why in Fiji we don't allow for same-sex marriage, because we believe an overwhelming number of people in this country, when we had about 19 public consultations for this constitution, that overwhelming number of people said we do not want same-sex marriage. That's why till today the Marriage Act says it's a union between a man and a woman. Mr. Speaker, sir, despite the sacredness, of course, Honorable Tambuya has chosen to keep her family name before she got married. Honorable Akbar has decided to keep her family name. And others, of course. But others have chosen to accept the husband's name. That's fine. Nobody is forcing anybody to make a choice. In fact, they've already made choices. All we are saying to you, whatever choice you have made, just essentially get it legalized. That's all. That's all. Honorable Salote Rondrondro says, see, she's shaking her head because she's caught in a quandary now. because that's the narrative that developed. If you already have all your bank identification, everything, all the other stuff, you've actually gone to the trouble every time to take your birth certificate, take your marriage certificate. Then you're going to the trouble. They're not coming to you. And you've done that. And you made those changes. All we're saying now is that you simply just fill out a form, and next time you want to go and open another bank account or go and get a fishing license or whatever it is, a forestry license, you don't have to do all of that. You don't have to take your marriage certificate and take your birth certificate. It'll be already centralized. You just give your numbers, you get, You see, this is the reaction. You simply give your BRN number. That's it. The job's done. The job's done. But she, unfortunately, they are like, drunk boxers in a pub fight. They will keep on coming at you irrespective of what the facts are, irrespective of what the realities are.
Order.
And we have continuously said, and I will say it slowly again, for comprehension purposes, I will say it slowly again, the elections office, together with the BDM office, together with the REACH program, Honorable Randondo, listen, you learn. You can go and tell people. The BDM office, together with the elections office, together with the REACH program, will go to all these areas. I've read it out here. They'll go to them. They will go to them. They won't, as Honorable Tambuya said, they're sitting on their couches. Not all women sit on couches, actually. They will go to them, no matter where they are, whether they're in the Tay, whether they're workplace, whatever it is, they'll go to them. They don't have to spend money. They will go to them, except as opposed to them coming to the elections office. They will go to them. They will go to them.
Order.
They will go to them, sir, and say, this is your voter ID, your registration name. Your birth certificate name is here. Which one would you like? Which one do you want? You choose. And whatever name they choose to be registered, they will facilitate that if there is a need to do that. That's all they will do. That's all they'll have to do. It makes it easy for them. Like I said, Mr. Speaker, sir, women today are a lot more entrepreneurial than before. We have seen now women go and get into various areas of businesses through the MSME programs. So every time they go somewhere, they want to register, they have to take all these documents with them. Because they want to be known by the married name. That's fine, that's their right. But they have to take all of this. Once they're registered, BDM is centralized. They don't have to do that. They simply give their number. That's all. Job's done. No need to carry documents around with you. Isn't that making life easier? Isn't that making non-discriminatory, actually, those practices? It's so fundamental and so basic, I cannot explain it any other way. Mr. Speaker, sir, the other point that they made was that, they always bring this ethnic element to it. And I think, Mr. Speaker, sir, the reality of the matter is this. They don't actually have any policies. If you see anything that we say, it's always reactive. And it's only ethnic analysis too, fundamentally. This is why to date, SODELPA has not given a concrete policy. This is why to date, SODELPA has not given a budget, alternative budget, neither has NFP for that matter. Because they know they'll have to be held accountable. They know that their policies will actually be revealed. Mr. Speaker, sir. And that is a fundamental problem with this opposition. It's a fundamental problem. Mr. Speaker, sir, last point I would like to make, that Honorable Tambuya again got the law wrong, where they said that birth certificates, he said supervisor of elections said birth certificates should be used and it was in the law. No, actually, that was not the issue. The particular provision was actually interpreted, Mr. Speaker, sir, in which the court held that the provision does not allow the supervisor to go that extra mile to use the birth certificate. There is a document. So, obviously, as we stated before, Mr. Speaker, sir, that narrow interpretation, and I again go back to my point about what Honorable Wanganika made, is that I highlighted this issue, that the court was not made to be seized of the matter of the implications on the voter list. That was never discussed. That was never discussed in the court. 52, 53 was not discussed, Mr. Speaker, sir. So, obviously as legislators, if we want to ensure that there is integrity in the voter list, then we have to ensure that we fix up all the issues that will allow us to have a voter list that is actually has credibility and has integrity. Now, they've gone about, only 70 or 7 voters. Elections are won and lost on those number of votes. Previously, when it was single-member constituency, I remember Lavanya Padharat lost a seat by 12 votes from memory. So these things happen. I mean, the SDL government held on to government by 2 extra seats only. But it was the government. Now, if, for example, in the next elections, votes can go either way. So it is in your interest also to make sure the voter list has integrity. Now, they're saying, we take this personally, trying to fix it up. Actually, no, that's not the philosophy we come from. It's not about us. It's not about us individually. And I like to see the glass half full. Because what has actually happened, Mr. Speaker, sir, with the result that came out, apart from trying to fix up the issue regarding a voter list, we were able to then look at all the other areas pertaining to registration of birth. And all these laws that actually are there now, with those amendments, we looked at it more closely, we realized the discriminatory provisions, only the father could actually register the birth, mothers could not. There are only 21-year-olds could actually change name, not 18-year-olds, all the other 18-year-olds actually could in other things. So that gave us the space to be able to carry out these positive changes. And it's on that basis, Mr. Speaker, so we recommend that, the other point that I also wanted to make. They were talked about, no assistance, people are, not getting any form of assistance. I just announced yesterday in the question and answer session, over $360 million has been given in direct cash assistance, including to the informal sector. Never in the history of Fiji has the informal sector received direct government assistance in such a large quantum, Mr. Speaker. Never before. And again, Mr. Speaker, sir, there is again misleading Parliament. I urge all members, Mr. Speaker, sir, to support this bill. Thank you very much.
I thank the Attorney General for his right of reply. Honourable members, the Parliament will now vote. The question is, pursuant to the resolution of Parliament